He killed Santa.
He is Santa. You killed him.
I told you. So that's like dad messed up dinner section. I see. Oh no.
Coffee? Down from there.
He's hard-headed as hell.
Even
Why are
wear
people so
pajamas.
hell-bent
Normally I
on
sleep
like
naked. Fuck.
taking away
Naked.
magic from kids? The end. Hey you guys, welcome to Kima's Never Seen It. I'm Kima, and today the movie we're going to be talking about is The Santa Claus. Posting this a little bit after the holidays, but we're still in the spirit, so wanted to just make sure that I did drop this. Sorry about that. And if you've never been here before, I take movie suggestions based on movies I've never seen, which is basically every movie ever, give a quick synopsis of what they're about, and then give my review. Will my opinion differ from yours? Probably. But if you've never seen this movie, I'm putting a big spoiler alert right here because we're about to get into it. And now that we got that out the way, let's get into what this movie's about based on the DVD cover summary. Rooftop clatter leads to merry adventure after Santa falls down on the job, and Scott Calvin's son Charlie convinces dad to try on the red suit. 8 reindeer pilot the pair to the North Pole, where they soon discover that by donning the famous suit, Dad must now accept all of Santa's duties. Over the next year, a surprise, not so jolly, Scott grows a Santa-sized tummy and beard, causing friends, family, and business associates to wonder if he's lost his marbles. All except Charlie, who thinks his dad is perfectly suited for his new job. To start off with the movie, we start with Scott Calvin. It looks like he's at a work party and they're celebrating, which I've also never been to a work party, but this isn't about me. He works for a toy company. It looks like they've had a lot of success over the year, and of course it's Christmas time, so they're just celebrating all their sales and everything like that. He also seems like he's very job focused more than anything, because after that, he goes to meet with his ex Laura, his ex-wife, and pick up his son Charlie. Now he's running late, but he does get to his house to pick up Charlie, and he invites her inside. Her name's Laura. He invites her inside, even though her new man, I think his name is Neil, he's a psychiatrist, Scott doesn't like him, is outside, but I guess he's just gonna wait out there. So they go inside, and of course it's Christmas Eve, so Scott is talking to Charlie, being like, Santa's gonna leave presents in the morning, are you excited for Santa, da-da-da-da-da, but Charlie, which is the son, he's just like, I don't really believe in that kind of stuff, it's a little babyish, all because stepdaddy Neil told him not to believe in it.
What kind of babyish to believe in that kind of stuff?
What are you talking about? I believe in Santa Claus. I'm not a baby.
Well,
Maybe it is time you left.
mind you, Charlie's like 7. So like 7 is what? 7th grade, maybe 1st grade if your birthday's late. It's not outside the realm of possibility to still believe in Santa, or at least have, I don't know what's up with these parents trying to take imagination away from kids. I don't know. But the mom is trying to defend the stepdaddy, and they have a little fight about it. But the mom's just like, okay, I'm gonna leave. Charlie doesn't want to stay. He's just like, can you please, first thing in the morning, like right when I wake up, make sure you're here. I don't want to be here, blah, 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 blah. And mom is just like, yes, I will be here. And he sincerely doesn't want to stay with Scott, but the custody and all that, So again, Christmas Eve, later that night, Scott is about to make this amazing, elaborate Christmas dinner that he sees on TV, and he ends up burning everything. He burns the entire thing. So now they have to go to Denny's to have dinner. And they actually, there's a full section of just men who ruin Christmas Eve dinner. It looks like single men who ruin Christmas Eve dinner and bringing their children to Denny's to go eat. And again, it's not really traditional, but honestly, you can make your own traditions. Maybe going to Denny's every Christmas Eve, maybe it could be a new tradition. Everything doesn't have to be by the book of the old days, so remember that. But anyway, so like I said before, it looks like Scott isn't really that family oriented. He's very career driven, because it seems like him and Charlie just don't connect that much. It seems like they probably when he does hang out with him, they just don't do much together, or maybe he overworks so he can't even hang out with Charlie. He just doesn't seem so much focused on Charlie, unfortunately. But regardless, it's Christmas, holiday spirit, and he's trying to keep the hope of Santa and the holiday spirit alive in Charlie, and really trying to drive it home to him. And Charlie's kind of fighting back, because he's just like, well, Neil said this, and Neil's a psychiatrist, he's a doctor, psychiatrist, so he would know. But Scott is just like, yeah, I don't care what Neil said. Santa's real. So later that night, they go to sleep, and Charlie's woken up because he hears some banging outside or on the roof or something. So he goes to wake up Scott, and when Scott wakes up, he goes outside and he sees a man on the roof. It was Santa. He found Santa on the roof. So Santa's real. Santa's real, first off. But he also kills Santa. So now Santa's out for the count. He's not getting up. He's not doing anything. Charlie comes outside. He's just like, oh my God, you killed Santa. What happened? And Scott goes through Santa's clothes and he finds this little card. On the back of it, it says something like, oh, if you found this card, just put on the red suit. The reindeer will know what to do. So Scott is just like, what's all this then? But there's literally reindeer on the roof. So something's happening. And then the OG Santa ends up like disappearing into the air, into the snow or something. So Scott puts on his suit and starts to put it on. Charlie goes up the ladder to go with the reindeer are. Let me also say, Charlie's hard-headed. He doesn't listen to anything that Scott has said. Scott says go inside. Scott says get down. Scott says don't go up there. He don't listen for nothing. He's hard-headed. But he goes up there. Scott follows him with the suit on. And then he's just like, okay, we got to get out of here. Let's go. And the deer take off. Reindeer take off.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go!
So now it's time to do Santa stuff. And he puts on the rest of the suit and he gets to his first house and he grabs the bag of whatever's in there and he starts to lift off to get into the chimney of his first house and puts the presents underneath the tree. So like, has to be Santa. Also, the gifts aren't wrapped. I don't really know what that's all about, but maybe the parents just wake up extra early so that they could wrap in the same wrapping paper. I don't know. But he's going to all these different houses. He even goes to a house where he wakes up a little girl who's sitting on the couch and she's just like, Santa, why are you so skinny? What happened to you? Why do you look like that? Where's your beard? She's just kind of confused. But Scott's just like, my name's Scott Calvin. I don't know why I'm here. Go back to sleep and leave me alone.
Santa?
Scott Calvin.
How come your clothes are so baggy?
Because Santa is watching his saturated fats.
But he finishes and now he's just like, oh, great, all done. Time to go back home. Yeah, they're not going home. They're going to the North Pole. So now they're at the North Pole. They're getting greeted by all the elves who look like children, but they're like, I don't know, 6,000 years old. I don't know. They're just like these adult people who look like children. And again, Scott is just like, what is going on? Who's in charge? Where are the adults here? What's going on? Just nothing's really making sense to him. And also we meet one of the elves. His name's Bernard. I would assume he's like either Santa's right-hand man or he's like a lead elf because he, greets them and he's talking to Scott about the whole thing. And he gives Charlie this snow globe. And once you shake it, you can actually see like, instead of just snow falling, you see like the reindeer going across it. It's like really, really cool. So it's something to just like remember. Charlie, this is real. Magic is real. Bernard also explains, listen, man, you put on the suit, you read the card, you read the risk, you read the Santa Claus, and now this is your life. So get used to it.
What does that mean?
It means you put on the suit, you're the big guy.
So Scott goes upstairs with Charlie, and this other elf, her name is Judy, gives him some stuff to sleep in, gives him some tea, all this kind of stuff. And he still thinks that this is a dream. He doesn't believe anything that's what's going on. He's just like, listen, I'm gonna lay in this bed. I'm gonna wake up in my bed and everything will be back to normal in the morning.
Seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing. Kids don't have to see this place to know that it's here. They just know.
So the next morning, he wakes up, or Charlie wakes him up. He's just like, Dad, there's presents under the tree. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And then he wakes up, and it seems like everything was a dream, except he still has those same pajamas that Judy gave him the night before. So, and then the mama comes in, she's talking to Charlie. He's telling them all about the North Pole and all this kind of stuff and saying, oh, we had this great adventure and Dad is Santa now and this is happening and this is happening. So she's talking to Scott and it's just like, well, you really kept the fantasy alive, didn't you? And he's just like, I guess, I don't know. Which again, even it just being a story, like they could have played pretend last night. What the fuck is wrong with that? But as mama is coming to pick him up, Scott goes outside to say goodbye and he kind of bursts Charlie's bubble a little bit, just like, this really didn't happen. Like these same names are people we saw at Denny's and this happening, like this didn't happen. I'm sorry, sport.
Who showed you the workshop?
The elf.
How'd I get the pajamas?
I told you, Judy.
Oh, wait. Judy was the name of the waitress at the restaurant last night.
But Mama and Stepdaddy are haters and they again try to make it worse when they get home. And Neil is trying to like psychoanalyze Charlie and be like, oh, how could this be? How could Santa actually be this? Let the boy dream. It's literally Christmas. What other time can you believe in Santa other than Christmas? This carryovers to career day. Now, Charlie has two dads. He has Scott and he has Neil. They both come. And Charlie's just like, I want my dad to go first. So he goes up there and he's about to say that he's head of a toy company. They do all this kind of stuff. But Charlie's just like, nah, my dad is Santa.
He's got a really neat job.
Thank you, Charlie.
My dad is Santa Claus.
And now the school is getting involved. The school is getting involved all because Charlie said that he's Santa. Okay, I can understand it's getting to a point where it's just like, all right, Charlie, okay. All right, it's not Christmas anymore. I understand. But like, it's I don't think it's that serious. And I can understand, like, he's acting like it was real. It was real. But like at face value, again, I just don't see the problem. There are people who don't want their children to believe in Santa or celebrate Santa for a myriad of reasons. And I can understand those. But, you know, if you're trying to like grow them out of it at such a young age, it's just, I don't know. Kids can dream. That's all I'm saying. But now after this like whole thing got brought up with the people at the school, Neil's just like, well, I'm a psychiatrist and this is what I think about this. Girl, you're also not his dad. So I think you should back up just a little bit. I don't know how long you've been in Charlie's life, but back up a little bit. Using in the name of psychiatry to say he should not believe in Santa sounds a little ridiculous. If he was, I don't know, 40 and gung-ho believing in Santa, like actually believing, then we may need to evaluate some stuff. But he's 7. I don't think there's anything wrong. And he's saying that Scott shouldn't even be with his own son. Like, where do you get off? He's not even doing, it's like, I just don't someone tell me in the comments what harm, literal harm he's doing to Charlie. Because saying, oh, you shouldn't see your son because he believes in Santa. So now Scott is just like, well, instead of trying to convince him that I'm not Santa, I'm just going to tell him to shush. Just keep it on the down low. You know, if there's something you want to believe in, just don't tell everybody because not everybody believes. This will just be our little thing. Let's just keep it that way. And honestly, at this point, this is probably the best thing to do. So I agree with that. And I think the reason why I'm going so hard is just because this was real. In the movie context, this was real. This happened. So I'm just like, Neil, shut up. School board, shut up. Mama, shut up. Like, it happened. Maybe that's why I'm going so hard. Sorry. But now Christmas is over. However, Santa needs to prepare. And Scott has gained a little bit of weight over this time. And now he has facial hair, which he's always clean shaven. So when he goes into work, they're kind of just like, you all right?
God, your weight. What happened?
Bee sting.
But he's really starting to take over this Santa persona. Like, yes, he works for a toy company, but like they're throwing out these ideas of like Santa should be on a tank or on a spaceship. And Scott's just like, Santa has reindeer. We would never, ever, ever go for something like this. And he even goes to the doctor because, again, people at work are concerned about him. And they say his vitals are normal, his heart rate's normal, everything about him is normal, except for the fact that he now has this like overnight big belly and facial hair that literally just grew overnight, no matter how much he shaves. And then here comes Laura and Neil talking about like, you're really, really, feeding into this act. It's a lot, don't you think? But it's not an act. He's Santa. He even gets stuff in the mail. He gets a bunch of boxes in the mail. And the thing says, oh, you have a list, check it twice. It's names of every kid like in the world that he has to check if they've been naughty or nice. It's real. But Neil and Laura don't care. And now they come up with a plan to go back to the courts, talk to Charlie and get this evaluated to evaluate and like renegotiate the custody that they have between Scott and Laura. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you what the real issue is. They're jealous bastards. They don't believe in Santa. When they were younger, listen to this. When they were younger, they asked for certain things or like a specific thing. And they said, oh yeah, I got so many presents and I got all these other things, but I didn't get this one thing. So that's when I stopped believing in Santa. You ungrateful person. And I know kids, I think, are usually pretty like selfish and ungrateful because like that's just being a kid. But it's just like you got all these things and you didn't get this one thing and now you're just like, I don't believe in Santa. When he got you probably everything else on your list, maybe you didn't deserve that. Neil wanted a weenie whistle, like an Oscar Mayer weenie whistle, and I think Laura wanted a book, and they didn't get those things. They're just like, well, I don't believe in Santa. So because the dream was broken for you, you're gonna rip this dream from Charlie now? He's 7. When you grow, eventually it just kind of falls off. If you hardcore believe in Santa, it just eventually falls off. You know what I mean? Like, it will fall. Let's move on. But Charlie goes to talk with the man at the courts, and he's just trying to explain, I guess he tells him everything. Because when Scott gets there, Charlie's just like, I told him all about our adventure at the North Pole and the elves and the reindeer, and I told him everything. So then when Scott gets in there to talk, apparently the man sees this as some kind of red flag and takes all his visitation away. His visitation is suspended and they have to reevaluate in court later. So now he can't even see Charlie anymore. Now, what I will say is Scott before Santa, I think he would have been okay with this. I think that he's so career and job like focused that I think he probably would have been okay with not seeing him as much or waiting for the evaluation. He would have just put himself into work more. But him being Santa, something changed. And I think he just connected with Charlie more and actually wants to see him more and be with him more. So now he's just kind of like, well, I hate that. What? So then Scott wasn't supposed to, but he goes by the house to go see Charlie and he's talking to Charlie and everything. And Charlie gives Scott that snow globe that Bernard gave him. He shakes it, he sees the reindeer in it, and he's just like, they're not gonna tear us apart. They can never tear us apart. So then he ends up basically stealing Charlie. They go to the North Pole, and they start making all these like alterations to the sleigh, to the costume, and all this kind of stuff. But Laura calls the police, and now the police are trying to find a man that looks like Santa. Now at this point, it's Christmas. There's Santas everywhere. So they're just busting up Santas on the street for no reason. So they're going on and on. Santa is making his routes to different houses and all of this. And the cops finally find him and they arrest him and put him in the back of a car. In front of the kids. The kids are outside. They're screaming and howling. They're just like, leave Santa alone. What are you doing? Well, they take him down. But the elves do not take that lying down. They take Charlie and they go down to the police station. They mess up one of the cops and wrap him up so that they can go break Scott out. And then they have to finish their job. Now Charlie gets back home. He's just like, hey Neil, hey mom, what's up? And they're kind of just like, where have you been? Are you okay? He's just like, I'm fine. But me and dad have to go back out to deliver gifts to the rest of these houses. And Scott's just like, listen, I know you want to come with me, but you have to stay here. And he's like, just talking to him, and Charlie's crying because he's like, I just want to be with you, which is a change. Like from the beginning of the movie to now, Charlie would have never said this at the beginning. So it's just like, obviously they have bonded, they have connected, they have that father-son relationship now, and it's great. But he's just like, you have to stay here. I have to do this alone. I'm sorry, but I love you, blah, 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 blah. And then in the midst of all of this, Laura's just like, wow, you really are Santa. And then Neil actually starts to believe a little bit. So they finally came around. And then Scott tells Charlie, listen, if you ever need me, that snow globe, just shake it and I will be there. So just know that, just know. So then later that night, Charlie's just like, oh, man, miss my dad. Shakes the snow globe, it doesn't work. So he's about to go inside. But then Scott comes down. He's just like, I've only been gone for like 10 minutes. You already miss me? What's going on? And then he's just like, fine, Charlie, you can come with me to do the rest of my route. We can finish it together. And they not sail off because they're in a sleigh. They ride off and finish their route as Santa. And that's the end of the movie. This movie got a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, sure. I guess it was a cute movie. It wasn't anything crazy. Slightly funny, but nothing really crazy. I probably would bump it down to the 60s, a little bit above average, but not too bad. I've also heard there's there's a 2 and 3 and all this kind of stuff. So what do you guys think about those movies? Are they better than the first one? Should they have stopped? Let me know. But that's the end of my video. Thank you all again for joining to watch to see what I thought about this movie. If there's anything that you agree with, disagree with, you want to say how good I did, or you have any movie suggestions for movies I should watch in the future, please leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the YouTube things. Tell everybody about my channel. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky at Kima's Never Seen It, and Twitter at Kima's Never Seen. And just a little bit of transparency, I have been feeling a little foggy this month, just a little dazed. Things have been going on, I guess. And I haven't been as on this channel as I have been consistently throughout this year. But regardless, I always want to express gratitude and appreciation. And now more than ever, because you guys still choose to click on my video, you choose to watch, you choose to, just listen to what I have to say. And that's something that I have to be grateful for, something that I do appreciate. And even if you just got here and you at least watched until this far, I appreciate it. I really, really do. But if you did just get here, I got more videos back there, so check those out. But regardless, thank you. Thank you so much. But that's the end of my video, and I will see you guys back here at the next one. Bye.